Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sohum and I'm on a mission to spread peace, love, and positivity through music. Today, I'll be giving a first-time reaction to an artist named Gotye or Gotye, Gotye. Not really sure how to pronounce that. I saw a couple of variants of how to pronounce this online, so please inform me in the comments below what is the correct answer there. But today we're going to be checking out 3 of Gotye's songs today. We're going to start with Easy Way Out, then check out Heart's a Mess, and then lastly, Somebody That I Used to Know. Hope you guys are excited to check this out alongside me today. I certainly am. But before we do dive in, let us please thank Gundala the Harmonic for making this request today. Thank you, Gundala. Your support means the world to me and helps guide the direction for reactions I do over here. But now, let's just jump in. Let's get some of these melancholic moments. Well, that's cool. How do you film this? This is almost like claymation. Wait, hold on, let me pull it back. Huh. Whoa, it reminds me of claymation so much, but it also reminds me of the way, like, you know how South Park originally was created using basically like paper cutouts, cardboard cutouts? Kind of similar vibe there too, at least visually. But I am not a set designer, I don't know. Okay. It feels very like psychedelic, experimental even, indie for sure. And this like continual panning between the various stages and, you know, happenings of this man's life here. It's a very cool way to film it, just constantly rotating. Oh no, it's all on fire. Oh, it was like a blast? It's an abrupt moment. And he's just, wow, this is so morbid. Whoa. Whoa. That song ended so, I guess, abruptly is the way to put it. It is a 2-minute song, so it's not going to be the longest thing ever. I don't even know where to start with this one. I think in terms of musicality, it's all fairly simple. But interestingly, there's this like, I don't know if the correct grammatical term is like monotonicity. There's something about this song that feels very droning and kind of resembles what appears to be in the music video, at least earlier on, the monotony of this man's life, kind of going through his routines, showering, being on the toilet, just sitting in one's house on the couch, just staring blankly, not really having drive or purpose, feeling like one needs to escape from one's own life in a very literal sense, a morbid ending, an easy way out. I'm sure you all know what I'm referring to there. I don't know, it's like one is mentally exhausted from one's own routine, and it starts to eat away at you from the inside out, but also the outside in. You can even see their environment starting to get more decrepit, starting to fall apart. Now there's rats and cockroaches. Now there's blood on the desk. And life has a... life is crazy in the way it works. It almost feels like everything that you're given is like exactly what you deserve. I know that's a highly reductive statement that I could myself poke millions of holes in. But in this case, it's like all of the things that one is doing for their life, they don't have any, I guess, positive feelings about it either. It is just going through the routine. It is being a sort of zombie, and one's internal state, this is kind of the point I was trying to arrive at, one's internal state can often be reflected by one's external state and environment that they inhabit. Now, it's not always the case, because sometimes people, like, they live lavishly, but on the inside they are a husk. But you could also flip that and say, well, things on the outside could look terrible, but one's doing well internally. Here, there seems to be more of a one-to-one mapping. The environment overall was, the blues, the grays, the whites, the blacks, just overall washed and devoid of color. And then things just get worse. And it's sad, and now they're looking for an easy way out. And interestingly, despite the song being about this very, how can I put it? The song that is like about one's existential feeling about their place in the world and feeling like there's just too much repetition in life. It's a very seemingly like happy-go-lucky, bright sounding song with a bit of, I guess, monotonicity underneath, right? Those undertones I'm kind of speaking towards. But it's not exactly like minor, Somehow it stays on like the better side of like that major minor feel. Easy way out. Interesting. Definitely, in terms of genre, this to me is almost like a psychedelic pop, indie rock kind of a vibe. But yeah, let's keep going. Let's check out the next track. Heart's a Mess. Wow, the vocals are already matching the strings. I like that. And he's doing the conducting. Ooh, the slide. Pieces of your heart, let me peer inside. Let me in, where only your thoughts have been. Let me occupy your mind. Wow, it is so subtle. Oh wow, what does that melody remind me of? Okay, Gundala, you'll know this. It kind of reminds me very briefly of the melody of Family by Bad Flower. Da-da-da, right? Those two pitches. I'll go back to it. Let me occupy your mind as you do mine. Da-da-da. Is it not like the same melody there? spam it. Okay. It's very, very experimental, I should say.
You lost to fear, doubt, and distrust. You just threw away the key.
And this rhythm is like bouncy, but also bulbousy, if that's a way to describe it.
You just threw away the key.
Kind of like distorted, like a water droplet.
Don't get burned. It makes it easier. That much more difficult for me to make you see.
Wow. I mean, it's very relaxing. But it's so different than like the melancholic music that I'm used to, you know?
Cause love ain't fair, so there you are.
Okay.
Your heart's a mess.
Okay, I'm here for this. I don't fully understand it, but I'm here for it.
Into it.
Beautiful voice.
Makes no sense, but I'm desperate to connect. You caught me like this.
Interesting. If I'm like understanding this so far, at least lyrically, this song, it seems to be obviously about one's heart and the various ways in which it doesn't feel at ease, but more specifically about a relationship where one of the individuals in that relationship has more of their walls up and the other is more open, and they're trying to connect with that walled off individual. It kind of reminds me of the what is it called? The anxious and avoidant attachment style dynamic. Oftentimes the avoidant person has their walls up, especially as it relates to conflict, and the anxious person, in an effort to try to soothe the troubled waters of the relationship, reach out to the avoidant in hopes of repairing the conflict in that given moment. But the avoidant person, to kind of soothe their own internal troubled waters, needs the time away and isolates themselves. And you could ask the question fairly, well, who's in the wrong there? Because if both individuals are trying to soothe their own emotions, you know, it's really just a matter of how do you best deal with one another's differences in that way. I've always been more of the anxiously attached individual in my own relationships rather than avoidant, but I've also played the role of the avoidant as well at times. So speaking as somebody who has been more dysfunctional, let's just be more open with one another at all stages. And if you do need time to kind of process something and work through things on your own, state that clearly and outwardly rather than being passive in that regard. And if you are the anxious attacher, then it makes sense to vocalize your current troubled feelings and offer an opportunity to speak when the other is ready to. And hopefully you can meet somewhere in the middle. Anyways, I'm no relationship expert. I'm just a man. Who owned a store in LA in that day. If you know the reference, you get a gold sticker. Wow, the drumming is real cool. This is an extremely unique rhythm, or not rhythm per se, but this just the beat. All of these elements that are being looped, that are coming together. It's very dynamic.
Can't get you out of my mind.
Right.
Just
Oh.
can't get it right. Just
Kinda
can't
like
get you out of my mind.
pizzicato with a bit of strumming.
Tonight. I just can't get it right. Just can't get you out of my mind.
I love that melody.
Heart's a mess. You wanted me to it. That makes no sense, but I'm desperate to connect. Can't live like this.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. That's the end. That's the way we end it there. This is my favorite song of Gotye so far. That melody. Whoa. What does that remind me of as well? Because I referenced Family by Bad Flower earlier for those 3 notes that I heard. Whoa. What is that from? And I probably have like multiple examples of what that melody reminds me of, other songs that I've heard that use a similar melody descending in this way. Oh God, I wish they came to my mind. You know how like on Google search you type in words and then related searches come up, so if you don't know the lyrics of a song exactly, you can still kind of find something related and then eventually get there. I wish there was a musical equivalent, and I've mentioned this before, but like there is a Shazam, right? You can play the song directly into Google search with, its generative AI, well, not generative AI, but its own AI search capabilities, and you'll be able to find realistically that song, but you're not often able to find related songs to that song. I think the only way I could do it would be to go to like a song's radio on Spotify. But even then, it's not necessarily what I'm looking for, because the song's radio on Spotify, if I were to go to Heart's a Mess, it would show me songs from other related artists or similar songs. But I want to search other songs that are similar to this particular melody, the da 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 da. And if I could compare that melody to the archive, the library of all of the world's music, and then find songs that I myself have, that would be cool. Okay, I think I overcomplicated it, but basically, if I could take that little 5-second clip and compare it to my existing Spotify library and find all of the other similar moments in different tracks that I listen to, that would make my ability to reference songs that I know that sound similar to what I'm hearing more like that. God, I am all over the place today with this reaction, I'm sure. Yeah, melodically, this one has my heart, absolutely. Loving these unique beats, loving the way that we're kind of going around this jungle gym of all of the various instruments there in this almost like consistent sequence. I didn't quite memorize it, but every single element that was being used to comprise the beat, when it reoccurred, became familiar to me, and nothing really like shocked me in that kind of sense, because we had it looped 2-3 times at least in total. those simmering strings matching the vocal melody in the moments that it did super stand out for me. Also loving Gotye's just singing ability in general. Something about it feels very casually emotional, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. That's neither here nor there, though. We're into the last song of the day, somebody that I used to know. Let's check it out. Foot. A knee. Oh god. Bro. he's not wearing anything. Long hair this time.
Now and then I think of when we were together.
Boom, boom,
Like when you
boom,
said you
boom,
felt so
boom,
happy
boom,
you
boom.
could die.
Featuring Kimbra.
Told myself that you were right for me, but felt so lonely in your company. But that was love and to make us still remember.
It's like even though I'm with you now in this moment, it's supposed to pacify my feeling of loneliness, but actually having you here makes me realize how disconnected we really are, and we're kind of placating one another rather than actually being in this relationship together. So maybe the punchline is going to be, I thought I knew you, but really I did at a time, and no longer I know you. You're somebody that I used to know.
Make us still remember.
Da-da-da. Very sparse instrumentation overall,
You can get addicted
even
to
across all
a
three of these.
certain kind of sadness. Like resignation to the end, always the
This is like a kind of like a slow burn down here.
So when we found that we could not make sense, well, you said that we would still be friends. But I'll admit that I was glad it was over.
Oh wow.
But you didn't have to cut me off.
Oh,
Make out like it never happened.
I've heard this chorus before.
I don't even need your love.
This is
Treat me like a stranger and that feels so rough.
I have heard this chorus before.
But you didn't have to cut me off.
I heard it got used in there was this meme. It was a POV. You are a driver, something on the highway, and then somebody like cuts in front of you on the highway, like overtaking you. And then the meme is, you didn't have to cut me off. I had no idea this was that song.
Cut me off. Make out like it never happened and that we were nothing. I don't even need your love, but you treat me like a stranger and that feels so rough.
Huh.
No, you didn't have to stoop so low. Have your friends collect your records and then change your number. Guess that I don't need that though. Now you're just somebody that I used to know.
There's something so unique about this melody.
Somebody that I used to know.
Also love that he's being painted like a mural, seemingly.
Now you're just
Oh wow.
somebody that I used to know.
Now he kind of reminds me facially of Joaquin Phoenix in Joker. Specifically that scene where he's in his apartment and the two gentlemen come over to try to figure out what's going on with Arthur. If you know, you know. Wow. I feel like I'm having a brain blast right now because I've heard this song, or at least this chorus, being used in the context of memes, and I think being referenced just in other like online content you'll find. And I guess now looking at the description here, this song has 2.5 billion views. What am I doing? How am I not one of these views? I guess today I am.
You're just somebody that I used to know.
I feel so dumb. Oh, and he's matching the background. Okay, we have another. I think this is Kimbra.
Now and then I think of all the times you screwed me over.
Oh wow, we get the other perspective. That's so smart.
But in me believing it was always something that I'd done.
Right.
But I don't wanna live that way.
She's breaking the paradigm by shifting from that place. She's no longer playing the role.
I don't wanna live that way.
That's cool.
Reading into every word you say. You said that you could let it go, and I wouldn't catch you hung up on somebody that you used to know.
Ah.
Cut me off.
Oh.
Like it never happened, we were
The
nothing.
layering here.
Need your love, but you treat me like a stranger, and I feel
Oh.
so rough. Didn't have to stoop so low. Have your friends collect your records and then change your number.
Wow.
I don't need that though. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Somebody,
Wow. And then back to the
somebody that I used
right. Back to the distance.
I used to know. Somebody that I used to know. I used to know.
Wow, that is a cool video as well.
I used to know somebody.
Bring. Oh wow. Okay, I'm definitely having a bit of a brain blast, and also like my arms have goosebumps all over them. I'm trying to put into context this song in my own life, but because I don't have like clear-cut examples of how I've heard it, or at least that chorus, right? That part that really like I know that I've heard before. I'm gonna have to defer to just like how I feel about it in this current moment, which I have a great many thoughts here, so I guess I should just get started. At a very high level, the idea of somebody that I used to know and the context of two lovers and now former lovers is very interesting because it paints into perspective, paint to reference the visuals there. The idea that relationships are never clear cut, they're often messy, and you can even say doubly so for breakups, because oftentimes breakups come as a consequence of one's misunderstanding of the other, some miscommunication, some lack of mutual ground. And oftentimes those kind of breakups are the unhealthy ones. I think you can find ways to mutually agree that not being together because of some irreconcilable differences, I think you could mutually come to a conclusion like that and then no longer be together. That would be a healthy version of a breakup, but again, often there's so much pain, emotion, confusion, shifting perspectives, romanticization, manipulation, poor behavior, healthy behavior, just changes over time. There's so much that can complicate the way that we as an individual assess the relationship that we've been in. And this song seems to be just highlighting all of those moments, because one individual, they think they know about why this breakup occurred, and you were somebody that I used to know as a result, but did you ever really know them? If you did, would you have broken up with them originally? Usually the reason why we break up, at least a big reason, is because we don't know an aspect of that person, and it feels like, oh, I wouldn't do this thing in this way. They did it, therefore we would never work out. But maybe there's other explanations to kind of explore. And I like too how the role that Kimbra played in this video, not only was she like a part of the mural, part of that, crazy image that isn't clear cut, it's not obvious, but she also broke away from that paradigm to explain the situation from her perspective as well. Because again, it's going to take two people to tango. The story is never fully told with one party. It's always going to take two to really at least put all of the pieces on that board. And And part of my thinking too, it came to this idea of the romanticization of the other person. And romanticization can happen, right? In the context of relationship, you view the person that you're with as their potential rather than who they are now. And would you love that person in perpetuity if who they are now is who they will be forever rather than the potential you see in them? And you romanticize the possibility of the future relationship. People do this and it's a problematic tendency, but you could also do this in reverse when you look back on a relationship and romanticize all of the good things that you shared, but maybe you're now avoiding thinking about the problematic times too. There's so many ways that our human biases play against us. Oftentimes they can play in our favor, but of course we have to check ourselves and recognize where we have to take more accountability. But it puts all of that into a further perspective of relationships are complicated and breakups are never ideal. We always want the relationship to work out, but we have to do what's best for the self, do what's best for the other person and the two individuals together. If those three things, if there can be no maximization, optimization function that can happen across those three dynamics, well, you're going to basically get some kind of how can I word this? You're not going to get the most out of that relationship. But let me know what you think about these songs, what they mean in the comments down below. I think I just now want to speak at a very high level about Gotye's music in general rather than the lyrics that we kind of went through and the meaning of these songs. It feels very, very fresh. I said experimental for the first two tracks, but it's honestly not as experimental and crazy in hindsight. It's all like within the realm of like music that I understand, styles that I understand, instruments that I understand, yet somehow the puzzle that's been put together feels novel. Somehow it doesn't fit the typical song structures. Somehow the melodies are newer to me. I don't have a really good explanation as to why. If you guys feel similarly or have maybe more experience with Gotye, let me know what you think about that in the comments below. I'd be very curious to hear your perspectives. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed checking out Gotye alongside me today. This was my first time listening to Gotye in this very active way. The chorus of somebody that I used to know I had heard before, but I didn't realize it was actually a part of this song. So that was a fun realization. But like I said, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the reaction. If you did and would like to make a reaction request yourself, you can do so by clicking the first link down below. It's the best way to support my channel. But as always, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care and peace.